Hello, I'm Ross from Figure Painting Co UK, and here is another LaSalle battle report. We're playing a scenario where you actually, it's all cavalry and horse artillery, and the objective of the defender is to build a bridge over the river to extricate the army. The bridge requires 4 successful rolls. All you have to roll is 4 or more on either of 2 dice, and you roll once per turn. So if you get lucky, you build your bridge in 4 turns. You can choose to build the bridge anywhere along the river on that top edge of the table. And to start off with a slight superiority over the enemy, we'll go through the exact details of the force. The attacker comes on with initially a small force which grows to a larger force, and then both sides have the opportunity to bring on or roll for some heavy cavalry. So the idea really for the defender, it's quite difficult. How much do you want to fight? How much do you want to withdraw to the bridge? Because you have to get into column and march as well to cross the bridge, which means coming out of a fighting formation. You only get so many over per turn. So it's a kind of battle against space and time. You can try and break the attacker instead, which I know there's Rogers kindly put this scenario on again and put on a lot of work into it. And he had succeeded once by breaking the attacker, which is another option. So looking at the forces, like the way the point system works is each light cavalry unit's worth 2 points, each heavy cavalry is worth 3, the horse artillery 1. So defender, you can read the details, starts with 18 points. As you'll see in a minute, the attacker has 24 points. But again, with both sides, the heavy cavalry is going to come on later if you get the right roll. So there's the starting force, the defender, 6 units of light cavalry. The ones with the nice light blue pretty uniforms are the elite unit, the valiant I think the term is, and you see 1 unit of horse artillery in there. There's a general plus a commander, so you can effectively split it in 2 if you wish to. And then you've got the attacker starting with 4 light cav and horse artillery, which you'll see in a minute. And then turn 2, so almost immediately, 4 more light cavalry come on, giving a slight advantage. And then the way you have to roll for the heavy cavalry is roll less than the turn number, starting on turn 7. So there's the starting force, just a 4 light cav and the horse artillery. So defender can deploy anywhere up what you can see on the right hand side. That's where I'll be, the defender. I can deploy up to about that line, and I'm looking at basically the way the woods are positioned. We've got 2 flanks to think about and a centre. All the attackers are going to come on the top left between the 2 hills as they roll for, or as they scheduled to come on. I hope like the new mat, which is still a little bit shiny, still drying. I have got a top tip for making terrain maps or battle mats, and that is don't do it in November in Wales. I think that's taken a week to dry so far. So if you're going to do it during the summer, or live somewhere warmer and drier, more importantly. Okay, so this initial deployment I've gone for. I've kept it pretty vague. They're all in column of march for the extra movement. And my plan is to try and draw enough attackers into one flank that I can bring my heavy cavalry on behind them, crash into the back, and try and wipe them out that way, and use that as my flank to escape and just hold the rest of the battlefield. So that's the overall plan. And as I don't know which way my opponent's going to deploy yet, I'm leaving it open with a slight hint that I'm going to come this way, I'm thinking. Yeah, beautiful armies. Again, these are from Roger's personal collection. I think he painted most, if not all of these, and they look great. Okay, so turn 1 starts with the attacker. So as you can see, the initial units sort of starting to spread out a bit, and the second wave has come onto the edge of the table, and that's the start to the game. So I'm bringing more force slightly towards this side. The horse artillery is going to nestle up behind this wood. A couple of cavalry units coming this way. And I'm trying to look a little bit weaker on the other flank, because that seems to be the way he's heading. And I'd like to suck him into one flank with as many as possible to try and crush them. Either go for the break win, or better still, I like to go over the bridge. Okay, so as you can see, that actually moving there with little arrows. Okay, so roll for a bridge. I've rolled 1 number 4 or more, so we'll get the first section of the bridge. And we've managed to draw a bit of an audience. My son on the right and one of his friends sitting next to him there. The two of them trying to find out what's going on. Bit mystified, I think. It's a very complicated scenario to just jump in on. I wish I could have more dice to throw, actually. Got them a bit more involved. But anyway, here we go. So as you can see, 3 units of cavalry are coming, sweeping around this right flank as the attacker looks. He's got a couple more plus the horse artillery going through the centre. And 2 on the far left where I've shown some weakness. Or possibly 3 actually going to the far left. So I'm going to draw them into there. And then draw the other units away from that flank. So I'll have somewhere to land my heavy cavalry and come rolling up down that flank and whip out over the bridge is the plan. Okay, so you can see little puffs of smoke from artillery. I won't concentrate too much on those because in this game you only get 3 bases for a horse artillery unit. They don't do a lot. You need 2 hits to do 1 point of damage. And you can see the red dots appearing. I did a few hits and they all got rallied off at some point. So artillery not such a major part as they are in most LaSalle games. When you're the big foot artillery units where you're rolling, 5 dice maybe. Right, okay, so as you can see, I'm scooting up this flank now to try and draw some this way. The elite cav come to join them. And I'm showing a bit of weakness up on the top right. I've left 1 unit out in the middle, which is a bit prey to his artillery, but I've got a hold there. My plan is thinking if I could draw him into the middle a bit, I could charge in from both flanks. So if he comes down the middle, I'm going to leave the minimum on the flanks and the rest wheels round to charge through the middle. So trying to draw him in somewhere. This is a close-up there. This poor lot looking at his artillery. And I've tried to line it up, and they do move across a bit, so I can charge the horse artillery, but I'm out of the charge range of his cavalry there, just trying to put a bit of pressure on the artillery. I rolled again. I've got my 5-1. The red dice, I'm trying to roll low to bring on my heavy cavalry. I needed very low, and 11. Not even near. So round 3, which is turn 6 for the attacker. Yes, this gives us an idea where the attacker's artillery is, having pot shots at my my cav. Oh, also because of our house rules, where the artillery can wheel or move up to 1 base width before the shooting, because we find they just get negated out the game. You just manoeuvre around them and things. Look at previous reports, more details. So they've moved back 1 base width, so they're not within charge range anymore, and had a pot shot, which I think missed. So it's a quick overview of the battlefield. See, he is coming around the left flank with a couple of units, so I'm quite pleased about that. And I'm hoping to draw the rest this way to get away from the edge where I want to come on from. If I can get lucky and roll my heavy cavalry. And Roger's also rolling to try and get his heavy cavalry, but I get a +2 advantage, so hopefully he might come on first by a few turns. Okay, so there's the overall battlefield again, just showing that my elite cav are now wheeling around to the centre. I'm hoping these 2 cav can hold his flank, and the elite cav can... I'm just trying to feint the other way a bit. I don't know what I'm doing, really. And my guys in the centre getting fed up with being blown to bits have come back a bit. And we're just nudging around at the moment. As you can see on the top side, I've withdrawn because I want to leave enough room to get the heavy cavalry on and just keep pulling him in. But I am getting very near to the bridge. So I am going to have to win that flank at some point. So once again, another part of the bridge. And I rolled the low enough. The 6 was low enough, so my heavy cavalry come on. And here they are. Da, da, da. So 2 big units of heavy cavalry and a unit of horse artillery. They have to come on in column and march, unfortunately. You can put them anywhere along the sides. And I've been quite aggressive. Put them right up into the attacker's half. Because I've got this plan to come charging down the flank. I think there weren't many other places I could put them. Because they can't be within 4 of the enemy. And because I've let them get so far down the flanks, I've closed off a lot of the options. So I could possibly have brought them on right back by the river. And one idea I thought about afterwards, which seems a bit of a cop-out to me, though, is bring them all on in column and just march them over the bridge. There's 6 points for the 2 heavy cavalry. Get the horse artillery off. You can't lose the game, but, you've got no heavy artillery to play the game with. You can't fight back. And as soon as the enemy heavy cavalry come on, what are you going to do about it? What I'm hoping for now is just a turn or 2 before his heavy cavalry come on, so that I can build them up into a charge and really smash up this flank. And I think then I can just move things around to shield the middle while I move the stuff off. So there's the overall showing that. You just see them on the top left-hand corner, the heavy cav coming in to come into the rear of those units. I'm trying to draw him. Come on, come all the way down past the wood. I need you down that end, because I want to fight the battles down there, so I'm near the bridge to get off again. Yeah, so you can see me backing away just outside charge range. Maybe I should have been a little bit more aggressive there. I've got the heavy cavalry behind. I know well, I didn't want to push up too much of the battle too close to my heavy cav. I need to battle down this end to get them off and away from any chance he has of bringing stuff on. So, turn 4. So, turn 8 in LaSalle counting, okay, when it comes to making rolls and things. And looking back now, I think this was a huge turning point, a real opportunity I missed, and I was just too timid with my cavalry at the back there. Looking at it now, if you look at the top of the situation there, if my light cav had in fact charged his cavalry, it's very difficult for him to fall back. He's got another unit behind, and then he's going to come clashing into my heavy cavalry. So he pretty much has to stand and fight that, I think. Or if he does withdraw, it's into the mouths of my heavy cavalry, which is great as well. So, yeah, I should really have charged there, I think, not backed off. Because, and Roger's looking at the situation now, and of course what he's thinking about is, well, how do I get a unit within 4 of my heavy cavalry? Because the way formation changes work, if you're within 4 base widths of the enemy cavalry, so 16 centimetres in our case, you can change formation to attack column or line, even whatever you want to do, but that's your whole turn. You can't charge as well. Whereas if they're outside 4, you can do both. So, I should realise that he's not going to let me get away with that. Something's going to be in the way, you know. That's just the way he's going to play it. And sure enough, these are the sort of sacrificial lambs, as the forlorn hope, as this unit of lancers turns round to get in the way of all the heavy cav. And his other cavalry has gone flying down the flank, using the space that I've given him. So I think that was really badly played by me. And you see the bottom end of the table, the cavalry's swinging round. And I just want to do a very time-wasting, slow fighting withdrawal. I just hold as long as I can. And again, I think better policy, the way the cavalry works, was being to risk some charges there. I'm just giving it a go. I might have got lucky and broken a unit. If I get wounded, whatever, you know. But I want this battle to just drag out here where I think I'm going to win it on the other side. Yeah, you see, so there he's taking the space which I've just given him. I mean, there was a charge on, but then I get the counter charge. Couldn't quite get both in. His cavalry's looking very trapped there, but what they're going to do is be a real nuisance and stop me getting out down that flank, because I've got to bash my way through all of them. Yeah, so there's the brave boys, those lancers. They rallied off the pip I got from the artillery as well. That's that green marker, just to add to my frustration. And he's setting it up so he can charge my horse artillery. So I've got to leave somehow a heavy cavalry as his nearest target. And I'm considering moving them both to attack columns to try and build a charge. Maybe come across the middle, take out his guns, and have a go down this end. Yeah. So, I actually decided to try and take a bit of a bold move here. And I put the one unit. What's going to happen is the unit at the top that's in column is just going to make a run for it down the flank. Because always cavalry, the one consolation I've got is they're all facing the wrong way. So no one can charge them. And I'm going to try and sneak the horse artillery out as well. Just getting down that flank as quickly as possible and leave the other units to deal with these lancers. And they're actually going to form up a little bit across because the horse artillery is going to move first. So it's a bit of jiggling around. I don't usually show many dice. But anyway, I managed to wiggle my cannons around, and even a slight mistake here because they're in canister range. So I might have the full 6 dice. 2 dice does a wound and tips the balance a bit towards my cavalry in this face-off. If I could fluke 5 hits, I'm hitting on 4 pluses. So there's a chance of 5 hits. I do 2 wounds. That would be devastating. Look at that. Not 1. So the overview, you can see the cavalry fanning out on the top. And the horse artillery and the other heavy cavalry making a run for it down the flank. With my light cav now engaging with his. And we're just doing a sort of staged withdrawal on the other side. So I'm feeling like I've got a bit of space for once. And I'm trying to find somewhere to get my cavalry around that flank and make a dart for the bridge. And I've rolled the bridge again, so the bridge is now complete. So I could just go for it. All I need is a turn or two of my heavy cavalry to get formed up into attack and get stuck in. And then there we are. Roger needs to roll 6 or less to bring on the heavy cavalry. That's adding together 2 dice. And boom! First attempt. Here they come, the heavy cavalry. I just need that extra space. And now my heavy cavalry are looking very exposed if I'm not careful. So sure enough, they've wheeled into position. Oh my goodness, the horse artillery's got a flank. If my cavalry charges his lancers, both of these heavy cavalry units are within range to make a charge reaction. They can do a counter charge into my flank, which also effectively gives them an extra move. So that's disaster. So I could try for a clipping attack on the lancers, but I only get half dice. I might not even win. So I'd have to just go around them. Just pile into that flank and hope I can do it. Meanwhile, on this flank here, we actually changed this. When you see the red arrow there, that's the charge. I was going to take it, but Roger kindly let me take it back and withdraw because that's his elite unit. I should have mentioned them earlier, but they got the sabres up in the air, and that was just my mistake. So they do actually make the withdraw. And I brought my elites, cav, covering the back of the artillery and give me a 3 for 2. So if he charged me, I've got the supporting charges now. So yeah, you see the withdrawal there, so thank you for that one. Right, so we've got our first cavalry clash now around the side of the woods. This is where I should have charged and let my opponent charge me. I'm going out with my 8 defensive dice there. I've only rolled 2 hits and Roger rolled a bundle. Oh, sorry, that one was there. 2 all on that one. So one was a draw and he bounced off, and the other one I got vaporized. Bump. So 1 unit disappeared. Ugh. So I really mishandled that. And he's now got that unit on the far right, actually round my flank. So it's all got a bit wrong, really. But at least you can see my heavy cavalry starting to appear. I'm going to try and trap him in this corner. And hopefully exact some revenge at least. Over to the other flank. And you see the elite cav of mine are charging in. And of course he's going to evade that. And I'm evading his charges. I'm trying to set it up so if he does charge me now, I'll stand. And I'll get the supporting charge reaction. 2 to 1 against his elites. I think I fancy those odds. And of course if you counter charge, you do get to destroy your opponent. So I'm just trying to set that up a bit there. And the light cav going in. The elite cav, sorry. The valiant. Okay, now on the other side. I've been kind of forced into this charge into the centre to try and stop them because I need to free up this gap because they're bringing everything into within 4 base widths as well now. And also, that flank's not looking so good. But as you can see, the red pip has appeared because you are allowed to fire into a melee. It's because of the shooting us on the way in, as it were. So as part of his reaction, he took an extra pip, which makes him very vulnerable. And you see them going in there. And the artillery in the distance. Yep, so my heavy cav decided to manoeuvre completely around those lancers. So frustrating, all that big heavy cavalry mob up the top just itching for a counter charge. Yeah, so one little consolation on the far side. I charged, he couldn't evade, and rolled no hits at all. Thank you very much. So I rolled 5 then when 1 would have done. But hey, I'm not winning. So they're coming off. And we've got this crunch in the middle, where unfortunately the incoming artillery fire makes a difference. Yeah. This is in case you haven't seen that from enough angles. There it is again. And also you see his heavy cavalry now streaming into the middle of the battlefield, looking to come straight down the centre. And really, I haven't got anything there to stop them. And my heavy are getting bunged up at the top. Yeah, and it's the 6th round, so turn 12. And this is when it really starts to sink in on me that the game could end after 16 turns. So basically got 3 more turns, if you like. One of those turns is got to be changing to column, and they don't move at all if there's enemy nearby, which I just looks like I can't avoid anymore. And then the next turn to move over. So you need 2 turns. So basically, if I want to get anything off, I've got to get into position now. So I'm starting to realise I need this game to go on a bit longer. I need a bit of luck as well, and some really good wins. And that heavy cavalry's got to bash down that flank. So here we are, bottom corner. We're evading each other, and I think I've got to get stuck in there. I just have to. What I've left, because I've got the 2 to 1 lined up. So I think, go on, charge me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Back off? I'll do 2 to 1 the other way. I'm going to be more aggressive here now. Or even sneak the rearmost unit out and get it over to the bridge. But what I've missed is the gap between my elites with the red arrow behind them when they just charged, and his unit is a gap wide enough for him to slip that unit through. Yeah, so he's picking them up, and they're going to plonk them right in front of my other cavalry up there through the gap. So I can't escape on this flank either now. Nicely done. There it is. Right up through the middle. And now all my cavalry is kind of pinned, if you like, by having its own opponent to mess about with. And also the artillery is sitting there. So quick overview, because it's getting quite confusing, but my horse artillery was going to come this side of the wood. But the way that melee looks like it's going to go, they're going to have to do a sharp left turn and go on the other side. I've just got to clear out those last 2 units to make a big enough gap to escape through. Meanwhile, of course, the cavalry are massive behind me, so I've got to break through fast. And get to the bridge and get off. And the artillery, little blast of nothingness. And down the bottom, we're finally going to have these combats. Just got to hope for something to come off. And turn 7 or 14 if you count in LaSalle style. Attacker moves. Artillery again shoots into the melee. And now he's thinking he's going to fancy his chance. He's going to hold because I'm on 3 pips with the artillery shooting. So, I don't know if I panicked a bit, seeing the turns running out, but I just had to go for it. Charge the elites. Got less dice, but both take a pip each, don't lose. Trying to get something across. My elites are now out of the game. I'm to reverse them back. The artillery's vulnerable. So this flank is... just stay away from the bridge. That's all I can hope for. And the other flank, there's just no room to get them through there. I'm managing to get them round the outside and things like that. And the horse artillery sneaking round. With a fair wind and a couple more turns and nothing of his, like this heavy cavalry through the middle. If they don't get to the bridge by some miracle, I could sneak the horse artillery off. My heavy cavalry needs to win that melee, change to column of line, and then try and get off while the other heavy cavalry covers them. It's a big ask. There's the overall situation. As you can see, the enemy's just flooding through on the centre, both flanks. Yeah, you can try and make out all the details there, but the melees... it's basically, he's got so much stuff now near the bridge. I have to spend a whole turn changing the column, which means I'm very vulnerable. And how many can you get off? Yeah, so in my desperation to get the cavalry off, I've actually left the guns open. They're facing the wrong way. I don't see how I can save them, really. And I'm thinking I'm only going to get one artillery off, and the other one's got the best chance. So rather than lose the cavalry, I've left the guns as his target. Painful, but what can you do? Desperate times. I've got to reverse my elites to try and get them in. So really, yeah, it's just the net's just closing all across the front now. Yeah, you can see I do get a bit of revenge on the far right, where I've trapped his unit completely. Actually used my horse artillery around the back to complete the net, as it were. And I've got one unit of cavalry coming round to try and flank him in the centre or something. But really, it's just playing out the last turn. I mean, if there's a couple of more turns, maybe I can get the horse artillery off. So he's at the top, the big car crash. My desperate charge in the centre, and again his artillery does a pip into the melee. I'm now on 3. Unless I can destroy him, my cavalry's going to get destroyed, and he's right by the bridge. At least I got one unit near the bridge. Yeah, so in we go. It's a draw. I lose 1 pip. I'm destroyed. Yeah, I do get to crush that unit on the other side. Some consolation. Not really. Turn 16, potentially the last turn. And there's an overview. I don't want to go through all the details, but I mean, the left-hand side, the top left, the heavy cavalry is pretty much bottled up. The right flank is collapsing. The artillery's gone. He's got heavy cavalry coming through the centre. I've got a chance of a flank charge on them, which he actually evades. But hey, I think they might have shrugged it off, and if they died, so what? You know, I've destroyed 1 unit. Nowhere near breaking him, nowhere near the bridge. My only chance is we get a couple more turns, I can sneak my horse artillery off. Yep, so you see on the far right, the yellow marker with the heavy cavalry first of all ran away, and then they kept running, because I want to just try and get to the bridge. The horse artillery in front of them is looking for a chance to sneak through. We're relying on that one cavalry unit winning its melee by some miracle and forcing back the enemy cavalry, so I can sneak the horse artillery over. The cavalry can't, because it has to change to column. But he is actually out of 4 now for the first time ever, just about. So he could change to column, perhaps. I don't think so. There'll be 2 more turns anyway. Right, so we come to the stage where the game might end. So this is 1 turn. So the next turn will be... Well, the way it works is this is 1 turn over the normal time. You roll 1 dice each. If either dice is above the number of turns over, the game continues. So i.e. anything but double 1, we get another turn. Yeah, you guessed it, double 1. The game ended. But to be honest, it was just, it was the referee stepping in and stopping the fight because it was only going to get worse from there. We had a sort of discussion about what could have happened if it continued. There was no way out for me. Anyway, a resounding success for my opponent and very well played by him, well deserved. So no complaints from me. I was a bit disappointed in my performance though. I think I was still in the mindset of the fighting withdrawal we did recently in Blucher. Where I'm defending quite a lot lately. And that kind of mentality of slowly giving ground, but that's Blucher on a larger scale battle and much more infantry based, the scenario we played. So you can sort of dig in and give the ground slowly while behind you the army's evacuating. This isn't like that. This is cavalry and a lower level battle. We're just dealing with a few brigades aside here. And the rules are brilliantly written, I think, for cavalry combat. If you charge in with equal forces, the odds are slightly in favour of the defender. But if you get a big win for the attacker, you destroy them. And that can't happen for the defender. It encourages aggressive play. You've always got the chance of doing that. And the consequences for losing a charge are not enormous. So you get the cavalry charging, the opponent's, evading out the way and then counter-charging, goes back and forth, and really gives the flavour of this level of cavalry battle. And I think I forgot that. I think the overall strategy, I'd love to hear people's comments, whether or not you think the idea of bringing the heavy cavalry on high up the table is a sound one. Or is it safest to bring them on at the back and then move them up to become the front line while the others, evacuate? Or just generally hold a higher line? Should the artillery be in the centre and not giving him that great position for his artillery throughout? I don't know. Anyway, I know it's a big thing. Like I said, on the forum, Roger's very active on there. So thank you for coming over. If you saw it there, I'll put a link in below for other people to have a look what's the discussion about this and what's going on. And when you do lose like this, always remember the great thing about wargaming. It's not the real thing. One of the famous writers, his name's escaped me a second, wargaming writers, Charles, apologies. No wargame's a simulation. If you want to make it a simulation, the first rule you bring in is that the loser gets shot. It does change your mindset a bit about heroic stands and things like that, doesn't it? Anyway, but luckily we don't have to do that, and we live to fight another day. So, until the next time, goodbye from me, keep rolling!